Hello, I'm Matteo, the Chief Mobile Opinionist here at the Tech Travel Geeks. And this is the Tech Travel Geeks setup video for the OnePlus Nord N100. If you don't already, please do subscribe to the Tech Travel Geeks here on YouTube. Right then, so in our previous video we unboxed the OnePlus Nord N100 and gave you a quick overview of the hardware. What we're going to do now is walk through the setup experience and walk through what the user experience is like in the OnePlus Nord N100, and I'll be commenting as we go through. So first things first, we looked at the SIM tray, which is on the left-hand side of the device. Sadly, this is not a device you can have two SIM cards in and have an extra memory card in. You have to make one of those difficult decisions in life. Do I have just the one SIM card, as I'm just about to do here, and a memory card, which I've put in? I'll put a link in the description to where you can purchase some great value memory cards on Amazon UK. And there we go. So the SIM card and microSD are in the device. Let's turn the OnePlus Nord N100 on. Now, you can see there's a OnePlus logo there, powered by Android. This is the OnePlus Nord N100, which launches today on the 11th of November 2020. This is an affordable device at £179 sterling. So it's definitely in that sub £200 price range and the sub $250 price range. You can see the OxygenOS logo there. So I'm in the UK, let's start English United Kingdom. And terms and conditions I agree to. They already have all the data I've provided in the OnePlus Nord, the original one setup. I've been using that device since. And what I'm going to do now is connect to my Planet Express Wi-Fi. So there we go, I've connected to Planet Express. And whilst we're here, we can see that that's HD ready, or HD plus display, has its nice little dot there. White screens are where you notice it the most. That's a cutout notch which contains, in this case, an 8 megapixel selfie camera. So the OnePlus Nord N100 is now checking for updates from OnePlus. Whilst we're talking about updates, today's news is that the OnePlus Nord N100 and its 5G slightly bigger brother, or sibling, will only get one major Android update to Android 11. So don't expect this to be as good in terms of updates as you may be used to with the higher end OnePlus devices. And now I'm being prompted to copy apps and data. I definitely don't want to do this. I want to go through the full setup experience as a new device. This is what I find quite pleasant about getting a new smartphone, is going through that setup experience and setting each device up slightly differently to suit my needs with it. So in this case, I'm going to sign in with my Google account, and I'll be back in a moment. So there we go, I agree to Google's terms of service. I've done this on now hundreds of phones at this point, and it's getting my account info. Now, the keyboard, in this case Gboard, is perfectly responsive. The haptic feedback's a bit mushy, but no much mushier than the keyboard we saw on the Nokia 3.4, which is more or less equivalent in terms of chipset features and price. So we will be doing a comparison between the OnePlus Nord N100 and the Nokia 3.4 soon here on the Tech Travel Geeks YouTube channel. So be sure to be subscribed and to have that notification bell on. You'll get a notification whenever we release new videos here on the channel. So this Google services setup took a little longer than expected, but I'm great with everything, all good with me. And now just another sec. There's a lot of secs here. Now, this is specific to the European Union. The UK is still technically part of the European Union until the 31st of December this year. So we have ballot screen. This is what it's called. It's called a ballot screen, where you get to choose which search engine should be baked into the operating system, what the default operating system is. I'm going to choose Google. I'm going to agree to everything. Okay then, I'm now going to set up the security on the device with a PIN number initially. Okay then, so that's the PIN number set up. Now I'm going to use the sensor on the back of the OnePlus Nord N100 to set up the fingerprint scanner. This is a fingerprint scanner positioning that I'm quite happy with. And in this case, it is reading my fingerprint and memorizing the pattern. Now we're going to go on to edge input of my index finger. So that's all been added. So we now have quick unlock using that. So now it's prompting us to go through with a continuation of the setup to make sure it's fully set up. Let's do that. Now this is likely to be Google Assistant. Yes, I'm happy to get the weather every day. It's always interesting in the United Kingdom. We definitely want the news every day. It's not all doom scrolling. And I'm happy with a quote every day. Quote me on that. And I'm happy with a joke. They are very funny. I find the Google Assistant jokes start my day off with a bit of a chuckle. Now, I'm going to give the assistant access to my voice match. I shouldn't really need to say the magic words here that will set off people's phones and TVs and assistants, because I've already done that with Google multiple times. So they should be okay with it. Now, Google Pay is ready to be enabled here. I'm pretty sure that the OnePlus Nord N100 does not have NFC in this case, so you won't be able to use it to pay via contactless in shops. We'll confirm that at a later point once I've actually used the device, but that's pretty much Google Pay set up on the phone so that I can use it for, say, the Google Play Store, for websites and other places accordingly. Now, this is something particular to OnePlus. They're giving me the option of choosing the font. So in this case, Roboto is the standard Android font, and OnePlus Slate is OnePlus's font. It's slightly wider. It's less efficient with space, but it is, in my view, much more readable. So I'm going to go ahead with OnePlus Slate and have a bit more of a OnePlus experience. And during the setup, you have two options for your navigation bar and gestures. So you can have navigation gestures similar to what I have on my Google Pixel, on my recent Android One Nokia devices and other devices, or you can have a series of recents, back and home buttons at the bottom of the screen. I have become accustomed to gestures. After you get used to that muscle memory, it works well. But some people still prefer that bar at the bottom of their screen with the three buttons. You have the option here. It's good of OnePlus to offer you that. And now it's going to... Oh, it's gone back to our search provider. We've already done that. That's great. Now it's suggesting that we master 3 full screen gestures in 3 steps. Let's go through with that. So if you swipe inward from the left, it's like going back. For going to the home screen, you swipe from the bottom up. And to go for your recent, you swipe and then long press. So that's the setup of the OnePlus Nord N100 complete. Whilst we've been doing that, in the background, there's been a lot going on. So you can see we already have some notifications here. There is launcher layout suggestions, and we have the Google Play Store completing installation of updates. And the phone's already beeping at us. So unlike the OnePlus Nord, the OnePlus Nord N100 doesn't have a silent mode switch at the side. This is something that most OnePlus devices have had over the years, is that silencer switch, similar to the one that you see on Apple iPhones. Sadly, the N100 doesn't have that, so I'm assuming that to switch sound off, I would have to go to here and find the Do Not Disturb mode, which is there. Great, I've done that. Now, I'm going to clear all notifications. Oh no, this is the settings on what to have. So there you go, you can see the notifications. I'll switch off Google Play Store, I'm not really that interested. As things update in the background, things are moving around. But the notification shade, just as on most versions of Android, has a drop down and then you can clear all notifications. As we set up the OnePlus Nord N100, there's a new version of OxygenOS. So this is still Android 10, but it's a slightly newer version. So I'll quickly download that in the background whilst we're finishing the setup to the device. Despite everything that's going on in the Google Play Store for the setup, despite the operating system update, the device is performing well for a device running on a Snapdragon 460 chipset. This is definitely not a high-end chipset, but it's working well. And as you can see, I've got a few Google Play updates to perform. Whilst this is all happening in the background, operating system update, as well as the Google Play update, let's see what's in the app drawer. There is more apps than you would expect on, say, an Android One device. Let's see what's pre-installed. So the usual Google apps, YouTube Music, which now replaces Google Play Music, YouTube, the weather app, I believe this is the OnePlus app, Google Podcasts, Google Play Store, Google Play Movies, Photos, and Phone. These are all Google apps, as well as Google News, Messages, and so on. Having said the magic G word, I've accidentally activated that, but apart from that, there's very few pre-installed apps. Few things such as the OnePlus Community app, the Gallery app, which is OnePlus's own one. That's all great. So it's a clean installation of OxygenOS. There's a few system apps updating in the background, and the launcher is inclusive of an app drawer, which you swipe up for. I really love this setup of having an app drawer with all your apps and only the ones you want on the home screen. In this case, I will remove the extra ones from the launcher because I prefer having that. And let's swipe left, you have your news feed. So in this case, I have news that's relevant to me, to my location, and to what I've read in the past. So in this case, I have lots of COVID news about Scotland, a bit of US elections news, the Raspberry Pi flavor test to find out which is the fastest, a quick update. We will have a Raspberry Pi 400 unboxing and setup video live on the channel soon, and more tech. I'm obviously interested in tech. It's not just the tech we cover for the Tech Travel Geeks YouTube channel. So OnePlus OxygenOS is a clean, stock-like Android distribution as of version 10. We'll need to see what OxygenOS 11 brings to the table. But let's have a quick look at the About page. I quite like the way OnePlus do this. It's similar to, for example, Xiaomi and others, and funnily enough, similar to Apple in many ways. You have information on the device. In this case, you can see that there's a Snapdragon 460 chipset. That's an 11 nanometer chipset. It's an octa-core one, so 8 hamsters. Cue Lukash's magic showing of 8 hamsters on a wheel. They're sort of medium to small sized hamsters in this case. There's 4 gigabytes of RAM and 64 gigabytes of storage built in. And as you can see, there's a 13 megapixel main camera, 2 megapixel macro camera, and a 2 megapixel depth sensor. The screen is a 90 Hz one, but I have noticed a few stutters. There's a lot going on in the background at the moment, but it is there. In day-to-day use, I'll need to see if it is really that smooth in comparison to not having 90 Hz on. And so that's the key details of the OnePlus Nord N100 in here. Now, one of the great features of Android 10 is that you get, in the display settings, the option to turn on dark mode. And this is something I quite enjoy. Even though this is an LCD panel, it's HD+, it's 720 by 1600 pixels in this case, and it's an LCD screen, I still think that dark mode is a feature that I want to enable. So we have advanced refresh rate, front camera display area. So this is, you can artificially hide the dodge or the selfie camera notch by hiding that. And you'll see that it looks as if there's a Pixel 4 XL style notch at the top. But if, on the other hand, you want to switch that back on, you get more screen real estate, your notifications are moved up, and it takes a while to adjust, but there you go. And what I'm going to try and find is dark mode. This is something I really like. So the good news is that in Android, you can search for settings here. Customization. Preset theme. Nuanced dark. Do you want to apply this theme? Yes. So this should change the system-wide settings. And as you can see, it's all gone dark. And this is good in my view because it makes my eyes less tired, especially when using the device at night. And in my view, makes things more legible, having white text on black background rather than the other way around. So there we go. I've got that done. That was a quick walkthrough of the overall OxygenOS setup experience and a quick walkthrough of what the menus and settings look like. I think it's time to wrap up this video just before I reboot to install this update. For now, thanks for watching this quick setup experience video of the OnePlus Nord N100. We will be back with more coverage of the OnePlus Nord N100, as well as comparisons with other devices in the same category and maybe the bigger brother to the OnePlus Nord N100, the original gangster OnePlus Nord. But for now, if you don't already, please do subscribe to us here on YouTube. Thank you for watching, and we will be back soon.